Happy Mother's Day to mothers everywhere. May your Mother's Day be blessed with family, friends, memories, humor, and delights relived. Did you begin with breakfast in bed? Eating in bed off a wobbly tray is a challenge at the best of times. Tables and chairs do have a lot to recommend them for ease of eating. And inevitably, no matter how good a cook Dad or Junior is, the toast is cold. The jam makes it soggy, if it wasn't already burnt. The juice is warm, and the eggs congealed by the time the tray arrives, all of which makes it the most remembered and laughed about meal of the year, a source of memories to be recalled year after year. The obligatory flowers add a delightful note to the living room, and the cards, particularly the hand-drawn of the youngest family members, stay on display long after the day has passed. The fun day of motherhood celebrated. But what makes a mother? 9 months of carrying, or a lifetime of caring, laughter and tears, sleepless nights, and great delights? Blood is a part of motherhood for most, but it is the day-to-day loving that makes a mum. There's a model of perfected motherhood that has been held up for generation after generation, that of the image of the Virgin Mary, Christ's mother, the perfect mother, the saint for mothers, all that is expected of mothers everywhere, seen as the embodiment of purity and divinity. To attempt to follow in her footsteps is a challenge to perfection, beyond most of us. But in reality, we have just imposed our ideas of a perfected motherhood upon Mary. If you spare a moment to look at what is recorded of her role, it is sparse. So, what is the example we are trying to emulate? First, obedience to the will of God. And this is found in her response to the angel Gabriel's message that she would bear the Holy Child, who would be called the Son of God. Mary's answer, I am the Lord's servant. Let everything you've said happen to me. But after Christ's birth and the move to Nazareth, we hear nothing further until Jesus disappears as the family returns from their annual trip to Jerusalem when he was 12 years old. After 3 days of searching, they find him in the temple with the teachers. Mary scolds, Son, why have you treated us so? Behold, your father and I have been looking for you anxiously. His response was not a gracious apology, rather it was a query. How is it that you sought me? Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house? The next scene comes roughly 18 years later, when, at the wedding in Cana, Mary pointed out to Jesus that the wine was gone. His response, Woman, why do you involve me? My hour has not yet come. Well, the eternal optimist, and knowing Jesus as only a mother can, Mary told the servants to do whatever Jesus told them. And Jesus, having instructed the servants to fill 6 water jars, transformed the water into wine. A somewhat grudging obedience. The Bible next records the arrival of Mary and her other sons while Jesus was talking to a crowd. Mary asked to speak to him, and Jesus' response, Who is my mother, and who are my brothers? And then, pointing to his disciples, he said, Here are my mother and my brothers, for whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother. Mary's final appearance is at the cross. While many women who had followed Jesus stood watching the crucifixion from afar, 3 women stood at the foot of the cross. One was Mary, his mother. The other 2 were his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. And the final act of Jesus before he gave up his life for us was to see to Mary's care. On the cross, he turned to the Apostle John and to Mary and called upon them to henceforth be mother and son. That is the last we hear of Mary. She was not one of the 3 women who returned to the tomb to share in the care of Jesus' body. where Jesus appeared first to Mary Magdalene and then sent her as his envoy, his disciple, to the apostles who were hiding in the upper room, bearing the wondrous news of the risen Christ. No doubt there was so much more to Mary and her raising of the Christ child, but we have no way of knowing. Such information was clearly not considered noteworthy by the men who told his story. I think we can fairly conclude that the upbringing of Jesus was much the same as other children in the neighborhood. Just as mischievous, as daring, as brave, faithful, inquisitive, and naughty as any other. Jesus learning what it meant to be human, and Mary learning, as all mothers do, by trial and error, to raise a child the very best way she could. For those of us who worry about our inadequacies as parents, examining the little we know of the relationship between Jesus and Mary gives us hope when our children do not respond as we were hoping. And, like our children, acts, not words, are that by which we should be judged. Like us, Mary passed on her faith and her values through instruction and example. Like us, Mary did her best. In the long run, it's the love of your children that tells the tale, the love that brings them back, presents you with grandchildren, and laughs with you about breakfasts in bed over the years. Motherhood is the great privilege of my life. I hope it is of yours. And so I pray, Holy Trinity, thank you for all the incredible gifts your bounty has bestowed upon me, most particularly the 5 incredible children who have comforted and confounded me from the moment their first small cries tethered our hearts together forever. May we ever serve and please you. So may it be. Amen.